Yasayo Yudabun. Welcome back to the Chan. It's me, Voya Inspire, and today we're going to talk about, why do I always pause at this part? Today we're going to talk about past lives and the lingerings from past lives. So if you believe in reincarnation, then you may know that the same people pop up in every life. And usually when that happens, it's karmic, whether it be, well, it's all for your good, let's say that. But it can be karmic for a good reason, karmic for a bad reason. But you have a soul contract with that person's spirit soul that says they have to come into your life and do this so you can get from point A to point B. That sometimes makes you feel crazy because you may have lingerings from different lives you have with that person that don't necessarily fit into this life that you are in currently. So for me, I had a very karmic soulmate, actually. This person is my soulmate, but they were in my life to teach me this lesson, but I was really hung up on them as being more than friends, because in my previous lives we were more than friends. So this person I always felt like a really deep connection with, and even like obsession with to some points, and I could never understand why. Like, I don't know, I had met like other guys before, or I just could never really understand truly why, because it was so like obsessive in my head, and I was like, why? It doesn't even make sense. Like, they're an amazing person, obviously, but like not like amazing for me to be like, I need you, I want you, you have to be in my life, yeah. But I realized when I did my first past life regression that and in my first past life regression, I firmly believe that a lot of people, when they do past life regressions, they go back to their last life as like a human, and I went back to my first life as a human being. I'm not saying that's my first life ever, but I went back to my first life as a human being. And I mean, I can tell you guys the story in a different video, but I was a man, and this person, he was a woman, and he was my wife. So that connection's been there from my very first life on this planet. So it's very strong, very deep, and like I said, he is one of my soulmates. In that regression, I felt so much love for him, and like we had a family and everything. So yeah, that carried over into this life, and it was pretty hard for me to navigate because I couldn't understand why I felt such things towards this person that really I know for a fact, and I've talked to my guides and my angels, and I know for a fact that this person isn't meant to be with me in this life. But I think it taught me a lot about myself, especially before I started on my path of spirituality. And it showed me what it was supposed to show me, because it's very karmic. Like I said, you're supposed to learn a lesson, but it was very like root-based, very, like I said, obsessive, very like I felt this way towards him since I was 16 till I was 22. I'm 22 now, but it was like last year. Like I walked into my spirituality, even though I was already spiritual, but I really fully stepped into it like the end of last year. So yeah, it was very karmic. And it taught me a lot about myself, but I wish I had known like why, and so that's why I wanted to make this video. Oh, and by the way, not disclaimer, but if you don't know what a past life regression is, It's getting your body to a deep state of hypnosis to where you remember your past lives. There are books on this, and I will put that somewhere in the description so you guys know what I have read. I can't, from the top of my head, cite everything right now. I do a lot of research and then I move to the next thing. So sometimes I don't remember. But yes, the next karmic relationship and then soul bond I want to talk about is your soul family. So I actually discovered a lot of my soul family at my last job. I used to be a manager at my job, and then I stepped down when I started walking on my spiritual path because it was stressing me out and it was eating me alive, and I would probably be dead right now. Okay, period. But when I was coming into my spirituality, a couple people started on that journey with me, and I could talk to them. And at my when I was manager, like, most of those people were my crew. It's crazy because, like, especially when I left that store, it was so devastating for me. Like, they were really the only reason keeping me going when I was getting, like, all these crazy hours and not enough pay for it and not enough sleep. Well, actually, I was getting enough sleep and nothing else. I was working, sleeping, and eating, which was disgusting. And and these people really helped me through it. And I really realized after I got moved into a different store where I was doing the same thing, but I didn't have those people, that I couldn't do it. I couldn't do that life anymore, and I couldn't do that job anymore. But it was crazy because I got surrounded by a lot of my soul family, and they understood where I was coming from. And I think my part in their life was to start them on their spiritual journey, and I think their part in my life was to make me feel comfortable going into my spiritual journey. I never felt judged. I never felt ostracized. I never felt like I was crazy. Like, now I talk to people about it at my different store, and at the store before this one, and they're like, huh? You know, just that usual, like, 3D reaction to people who are spiritual and thinking and doing other things. Like, I do card readings and stuff, so people get really like, the devil, and I'm like, shut the fuck up. But this store, like, that crew, they never once made me feel that way. And I did past life regressions, and they started doing them too, and we discovered, like, we really knew each other. And I also got into making, like, pendulums and crystal necklaces, and, like, I made them all ones, and we would just be at work, like, you know, talking to our pendulums, like, did we know each other, or, you know, were you this in my life, you know, how many lives we spent together. And two of them, I don't know, but it could be the other ones. Two of them were confirmed, like, my children in past lives. So I did one past life regression where I regressed to when I was, like, this Indian woman, and I had this beautiful daughter, and she had these, like, bright blue eyes. And I always, you know, you always hear eyes are the window to the soul, but you're like, yeah, whatever. But, like, when I went to work and I saw, like, my coworker's eyes, it was, like, the exact same, and I just knew. And I was telling her, and it was funny because the girl, when I looked up the name that I had in my past life regression, the little girl, my daughter, her name meant flower. And I was talking to my coworker, and she was like, oh my God, I want to get this tattoo on my arm of these flowers, whatever. And it was just like a sign, synchronicity. And I told her about it, and she was like, yeah. Like, when you were telling me about it, like, I felt it, and it was crazy. And then another guy that I worked with was my son, and he's in a really, he's going through some karma right now. I wish I could help him, but I'm going through my own journey right now. But I see him, and I see, like, the path he's going down. Oh my God, there are people at my back door. What the what the hell are they doing? Anyway, he's going down a little bit of a rough path right now, but, you know, it's his karma and his life, and something he has to do and get on the other side of, and I'll be there for him when he is. But yes, he was my son in the past life, and it's crazy. I had, like, I worked with two of my children, and, like, I felt that motherly love before I even become like a mother in this life, you know? So it's very crazy. And then another guy that I worked with, I had a dream of us in a past life, and he struggles with addiction, and I do too. Mine is more so like food and stuff, but he gets addicted quickly to anything. I'm really the same way, but I kind of was taught, like, you know, drugs, alcohol, no, don't do it, because my family has an addictive personality. So I was always taught to stay away from it, but he was never taught that. And then, you know, he fell into addiction, but he's gotten himself out, and he like is doing well for himself now. Like, everyone still struggles, but he's doing well for himself. But I remember in a past life he struggled with addiction too. I had a dream about us, like, and we were just like sitting like on the side of the road talking about it. And it's like crazy, like, that all these people were like my family, like we're soul family, like our souls travel together, and we were meant to be around each other and spark that within each other again. I don't think I would have gotten so heavily into it if I didn't have all their support in the beginning of my spiritual journey. So I love them, and I thank them, and I respect that karmic relationship. And then I have 2 more soulmates that I know of, and one is my mom, who actually got me started for real in like the spiritual stuff, because she started making like necklaces with crystals and stuff, and she would show me how like it would move, like, as you know, like the pendulum. And I was like, I need to know about this. And that's how I found out about my past lives as a witch. So like now I do like spells and manifestation and stuff. I don't really identify as being, well, I identify as being a witch, but I don't identify with Wicca, because I don't really do religions. I like spirituality, not so much religions. So I mean, it's easy for me to practice that because I have done it before in a past life. So like my mom introduced me to that, and all I did the first night I had my pendulum was find out about my past lives. Like, I have journals, and I would pick someone, like I would know, like, you know, within your soul, like who to ask about. Like, I knew off the top of my head who my soulmates were, even though I didn't know they were my soulmates until I confirmed it. And then like I would just go through and ask questions like what lives we live together. And you can tell, like, usually when you guys have an interest in like similar cultures, you can say, oh, like we were in Japan together, or we were, you know, and it's cool to find that out. And all my soulmates are very receptive, obviously, because they're my soulmates, and I'm going to be the spiritual being no matter what. That was my calling in this life and every life. So my other soulmate, like I said, is my mom, and she is doing her own thing right now. Love your mama. You taught me so much. Me and my mom are literally the same person, and so I understand where she's coming from no matter what. Even if it's not coming off as nice to me, I understand where she's coming from. I know her inside and out because I know myself, and we're the same person. And my mom has been my life. My mom has been my mom in so many lives. Any life that I've ever went back to, regressed, ever had dreams about my mom, has been my mom. Like, that's just what we do. Like, she is my teacher first and foremost, and so I understand her with all my being. She's probably my strongest soulmate. So that's really nice to grow up with that. And we were each other's karma at some points. I had to teach her things, she had to teach me things. We grew up together. A lot of mistakes I did make in my life, not because I saw my mom make mistakes. I was a part of her mistakes. Like, we learned together, we talked to each other, and I feel like we matured at the same level, even though, you know, she's older than me and my mother. But like, I feel like we really know each other on like a base level and all the levels above. And then my other soulmate is one of my friends, and he really gets me out like into nature and stuff, and I really appreciate that about him. And he also questions every single thing, everything. He questions everything. Sometimes I'm like, can you just believe me? Like, can you see where I'm coming from? And he's like, he doesn't let up. He doesn't let up. So he really forces me to, 1, do my research, 2, have absolute 100% faith in everything I say. Because if I don't, he'll find all the cracks and he'll expose them. And so that's really nice to have in a person. And it's not even argumentative. He's just like, I'm going to get to the bottom of it. He's going to question. And even if he wants to believe in something, he has to have the facts first. I'm not that type of person. I'm more of these signs and synchronicities, and then I'll believe it. But yes, so past lives linger a lot in our lives. Like I said, as far as soul families, soul bonds, your purpose in life, and also we all know like fears. But like it took me kind of like finding out like how I died in certain lives, and to get to the bottom of my fears. They still scare me. I ain't cure myself or nothing, but I at least know why, and I can kind of ration with myself that this is not now, that was before, you know? So I wanted to share that with you guys, especially if you feel like you have some, even bad relationships are usually karmic relationships. Like there are people that are put in your life to make you struggle or make you feel a certain way. So that way, you know, you go down a certain path that leads you to where you're supposed to be. Everything is planned out. You plan out everything before you even come back to earth. You're not even going to let yourself get the chance, stupid. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, so I wanted to touch on that because past lives are something that's very close to my heart. And it's very, if you know the past, right? It's just like with history. If you know your history, you can make sure it doesn't repeat itself. If you know your past and you know where you came from and what you've done, and you know where you're supposed to be going, and you don't have to repeat steps. That is the biggest part of my journey. I always try not to repeat steps. I mean, it still happens sometimes when you just have to work through something, but I try not to repeat steps and go backwards. So I really try to find out all that I can about the past. So I hope this was helpful. I hope you guys will do some past life regressions or get a pendulum and you can ask questions. Try not to, I will do a video on pendulum. Is it called pendulum dowsing? But it's a form of divination. So I'll do, I do a few different forms of divination. So I'll do a video on pendulum divination and show you guys how I use it and mistakes I made. That made me act like a fool, and how to fix it and how to do it correctly and accurately to get, you know, what you want to know in the information. And this has been a long video. So please feel free to like, subscribe, ring the bell, leave a comment. If you know anything about your past lives, you can let me know in the comments. I love talking about it. If you have any questions about past lives, let me know in the comments. I love talking about it. And again, like I said, like, subscribe, ring that bell. I can't make you do anything you don't want to do, or can I? So have a good day, everyone. Annyeong.